Good day, everybody. It is lovely and beautiful here in Oberlin, which is a little bit surprising given April, and yeah, it's April. It's our second virtual panel. Today's focus is on international students and the international student experience at Oberlin. Of all of the people here today, I am the least interesting, so I'm just going to turn it right on over to our panelists. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section of the Oberlin blogs or in the comment section on YouTube. We look forward to answering everything.
Hi everyone. Oh, go on. Go. Okay. Hello. I'm Sakina Lavingia. I prefer she, her, and hers. I'm from Karachi, Pakistan, and I do a couple of things on campus. So I'm a tour guide for admissions, which is really interesting because I'm an international student. So I'd actually not visited Oberlin till I got here. I work with the Office of the Ombudsperson and the Oberlin College Dialogue Center, which is basically a conflict resolution center on campus. I eat in a cooperative, the Kosher Halal Co-op, which is basically a student-led dining space, along with another member who is in the panel today. And I also, yay! And I also co-chair Girls and Boys in Motion, which is an after-school dance and movement program in middle schools, elementary schools, and several local after-school programs as well.
Hi, my name is Tanisa Durokaverat. I'm from Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand, and I'm currently doing the double degree program in piano performance and visual art with a theater concentration and educational studies concentration and a politics minor. Yeah, that's basically it. I have some jobs on campus with which I'm gonna talk about later.
Hey everyone, my name is Hassan. My PGPs are he, him, and his, and I'm from Rawalpindi in Pakistan. What do I do on campus? Well, I'm majoring in computer science and economics. I work at the Office of Religious and Spiritual Life as a web developer. I also am a Baller Scholar, so I do community service with the city of Oberlin as their web developer. And yeah, I'm active in the Muslim Students Association and the South Asian Students Association.
Hi everyone, I'm Luisa. I'm from Slovakia. Sorry, my full name, Luisa Demtova. My PGPs are she, her, hers. I'm a sociology major, but since I'm a first year, I may add some concentration or minor to that later. And on campus, well, as my friends from Pakistan, I'm also a border scholar. So my primary site is a local elementary school where I America reads tutor. I also eat in a co-op, although it's a different co-op, and I live in a co-op, so that's an experience for me. And I'm also a Quidditch player.
Hi everyone, I'm Ahmed. I use him, his, and him, and I'm a senior here. I'm an econ and politics major with minors in law and society and international studies concentration. So for my time here, I've been quite active in student government, in the student senate in Oberlin, and I also play soccer and try to play rugby, and I'm happy to help you with any questions you have.
It appears that Sue is having issues with audio. We really apologize for this. We are going to move into our first question and try and work with the technical difficulties piece of this right now. So sorry, Sue.
So the first question, why Oberlin? I learned about Oberlin mainly because of the music school. My piano teacher from back at home, from Thailand, she also went to Oberlin, and she had a really good experience here. And also my counselor in high school graduated from Oberlin, and these two people were amazing, and they just loved Oberlin. And I was like, what they love should be something I should be interested in because they're such cool people. I didn't get a chance to visit Oberlin before I came here, but I talked to a lot of people after that who graduated from Oberlin, and it turned out to be a really good place, especially the double degree program that not a lot of other colleges in the US have such bonding conservatory and college because we share the same campus. Music students always mingle with college, I mean, not always, but a lot of times we hang out together with college students and conservatory students. And I think that's something I've been looking for a lot of time in my whole life.
Yeah, I can have a go at this question as well. Uh, I was, for me, it was an interesting, Oberlin was an interesting school because I was really interested in entrepreneurship and the concept of a liberal arts education. And Oberlin turns out to be one of the few schools in the US, good ranked schools, that have both an entrepreneurship program and a liberal arts curriculum. And so it was just shortlisting time. Just like I looked up all the schools and I found Oberlin to be one of the few that had them both, and I applied in, and I got in. And the program, the entrepreneurship program over here is actually really good.
Well, I can have a go too. Well, my way of finding out, I guess, all is for my two friends here. I was just American colleges through a website, and Oberlin was one of my 100. First, when I saw the name, I was thinking, that sounds like a magician school to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it sounds similar to Merlin to me. I don't know why, but that was the first hint that this might be the place for me. And, and I didn't really know anyone from Oberlin, but I saw basically everything about Oberlin through the blogs, through the websites, through any kind of fora that are out there, and gradually I just fell in love with this place. And then I got to know that I got in, so it was quite a happy ending for me, or happy beginning actually.
Yeah, so I had quite the opposite experience. Our high school would give us this list of colleges ranked in order of competitiveness. And the first one, and it was all based off US news. And for me, it was a very, very random selection. And I'm really glad I made it. I think the reason I made it was one, somebody from my high school had just graduated from there, so there was a name assurance to that. And second, I don't know how many of you have seen this. It's a poster. It's called A Year in the Life of Oberlin that my aunt actually
Oh,
designed.
yeah.
And I always tell her, because every time I tell this story, it's credits go to her because it was a wonderful poster. And that's pretty much the access that I had to knowing the vibrancy that Oberlin possessed, everything from, people playing on the soccer field to people talking out in the sunshine to lands being empty because it was too snowy. So it was pretty much an encapsulation of everything that happens in Oberlin, 365 days of the year, which was great.
Yeah, and for my experience also, it's quite similar to what everyone said. I knew one person from my high school who went to Oberlin, and from what she said and from what I read about Oberlin, I just had the sense that it was very welcoming. And I think that was what made me really convinced that I wanted to come here, because I wanted to go to a place where I could join any club or any class or any activity that easily, and I would feel invited and welcome there. And that's been my experience so far in every class or club or event, that everyone is welcome and invited, and people are so friendly. And that was what I was expecting when I decided to come.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so sorry, guys. I have been having really annoying tech difficulties, and that has never happened before. So I'm kind of embarrassed now, but I'm just gonna go ahead and start from the very beginning. So I'm Sue. I'm a third year art history major, and I'm from Beijing. Um, I I'm also minoring in East Asian Studies and Middle East and North African Studies. So I use she, her, hers. I take several responsibilities on campus. I work at the Allen Memorial Art Museum, which serves a really good transition to why I come to Oberlin, because part of me, especially in high school, I was involved in a lot of art activities. I was in a dance club. Um, uh, I just like started this kind of community that served people who really love going to museums. And I also volunteered for a couple of national art museums in Beijing at that time. So I knew that I wanted to do something art related. And Oberlin kind of just jumped out as a great small liberal arts college with very fantastic art collection. And also, I knew that I wanted to go to a small school, because my all the schools that I went to, since primary school were all like large. Like my high school had like 3,000 people, and that was just a very. I mean, it was a great experience, but also I kind of wanted to change. So Oberlin was something that was a school that my counselor actually suggested to me. He went to a small liberal arts college as well, and so he found Oberlin. Well, or he thought Oberlin might be a good option for me. So I looked into Oberlin, found out the great arts program, and now I'm an art history major working for the art museum. So yes. I guess that's my answer to the question. And should we move on to the second question then? Cool. Somebody want to answer that? Oh, okay. I can just say something about it. So the second question is, what was the most difficult part of your transition to Oberlin, and what support have you had? So I think as an international student, of course, there are the barriers of, cultural difference, language, and all kinds of, adjusting to basically living on my own in a totally different country with a totally different culture. But I think one of the things that I struggled a lot was college writing. So I went to a pretty like mainstream public school, and Chinese was the instructional language. So although I did take a lot of English classes inside and outside of school, but I still didn't really experience like the intensity of like writing, like actual like serious writing, and um, so and I didn't really develop that kind of sense of logic even when I was in high school, which is something that I kind of regret, like that it's something that I didn't really focus on in high school, but that kind of made the transition a little hard for me, especially I I got a little ambitious and took a very hard art history class in my first year, first semester, and the professor was a great lecturer, but she was also kind of busy to um, like really like guide me through the like writing process like step by step. So I kind of had to, look for other resources. I went to Writing Center a lot. I talked to a couple of other professors who are like, who specialize in college writing. So that was something that I had to like seek for, but also, the resources were there. So I'm glad that I was able to make that adjustment and actually learn, how to write a 10-page paper, with like all the like research I have and like with a certain like logic. So that was my answer to the question. Does anybody want to take over?
I would like to go next. So the most difficult part of my transition to Oberlin, I don't think for me personally, Oberlin's that much of a hard place to be in. So it wasn't hard at all to get adjusted to Oberlin. Like coming to Oberlin, people are so friendly. You have plenty of international student support, as well as all the American friends are very open-minded, and they're so friendly. They're so eager to learn about our international countries. But the difficulty for me was finding the balance of what I wanted from Oberlin. Because once I came here, there are so many things that seemed appealing to me, and I kind of wanted to do everything, and it was so hard to actually manage my life. Like, if you say yes to everything, then your college life is a little screwed because there's so much to do, and if you want to do everything, you wouldn't have time for everything. And that was a really hard part for me because figuring out what I want in life at the same time as a challenge for me. But the support I've had is, I guess I'd say, the whole Oberlin that helped me learn as a person and learn to manage my life. I learned through a lot of other people's examples that I see, a lot of my upperclassmen friends. I observe what they do and how they manage their life, and what's the support I that's the support I get from them by learning from them. Who would like to go next?
I
I
can
can
go.
take a
Okay, Sakina, you go.
Okay. I think for me, the most difficult part about coming to Oberlin was just the distance away from home because I hadn't ever really been so far away from my parents. I grew up as an only child, um, and that independence was a bit. It was just difficult to get used to because I was never ever the one who was completely in charge of my own choices, and now I was. That being said, I think Oberlin grants an amazing support structure, especially if you're a Bonner scholar. You walk in and you have a community of at least 15 people in your year automatically that are by your side pretty much for the rest of the 4 years of your life at Oberlin. You make great friends almost immediately. International student orientation, although there's so many people coming to meet you, again meet wonderful people who are working at offices like Student Academic Services, Career Services Center, the International Students Office. And so I think coming in, you might feel alone and you might feel distant from home, but that feeling goes away just as fast as it settles in, simply because there's so many other people around that want to make you feel comfortable. And I think just one last plug out to professors. I think a lot of professors actually live within Oberlin, so they're just a walking distance away from probably where you live. I'm actually living 2 houses down from one of my dance professors next year, and I babysit her kids every now and then. And so it's really nice to kind of have that familial relationship with your professors at Oberlin that kind of makes you forget how far away you're at home because, they'll invite you for dinner and you can borrow their clothes if you need to go out somewhere and pretty much everything. So it's a really nice, cozy town to be part of, especially if you're an international student.
I can pretty much relate to everything that has been said so far, which doesn't have to say that all our experience as internationals is the same, but there are some parallels I guess we all can we know that if other people survive this, we can survive all the troubles and all the good things as well, and that other people a support system, and that we are not the only ones who are maybe going through a rough time. And just as Tanisa reminded me, because I have a selective memory, so I didn't remember anything difficult really last semester. It was really hard for me at first to strike a balance, because I personally come from an environment where there is never enough opportunities. And then suddenly you come here and you can do so many things, and there is always something happening, and you can do that kind of job or a different job. You can join so many clubs, you can join so many classes, and then at least I personally, I wanted to do everything, and I tried to do everything, and I just completely burned out. And yeah, but I take it for a really good experience, pardon, because it taught me how to really be selective when it comes to what I do and what I spend my time on. And I think one of the difficult things that, okay, for me personally, it was quite difficult to get used to no public transportation at all around here, because I would never expect that you come to America and like there will be no bus at all. You cannot get to Cleveland unless you have really good friends with cars, but that's how you can solve it. And you can either, if you can drive, you can rent a car that's per hour, or you can just make friends with some really great people who can drive you to Cleveland now and then. So that's one way of overcoming that little problem, or maybe not just little. And also, for me personally, I wasn't expecting a cultural shock, but actually that I kind of felt that I knew what America is supposed to be about, right? Because we always see these movies and TV series, and it's basically all around the world. In every country, people at least think they know what America is about. But then again, Oberlin isn't really such a precise representation of what the US is about. And also the country itself is there's so much variety, and there are so many different things that you probably wouldn't expect or would expect on a different level. So yeah, just definitely be ready to be surprised and open to everything. Anyone else, or should I go on to another question?
I could go next, but up to you. Did I go?
Yeah.
Okay, so for my experience, I think I agree with everyone. I think the most difficult thing with my experience was the balance as well, because there's so much things to do, and I actually did the same as most other people, that I signed up for too many things, and at the end I realized that I was not spending as much time for classes as I should have. But the thing with Oberlin is that professors reach out to you when they realize you're not spending as much time as you should. And that's something unique about Oberlin, I think, because my friends in other schools have a hard time finding the professors, while in Oberlin, professors find you and reach out to you because they're so supportive. So because of that, basically, I was always able to get back on track. And along with that, there's a lot of resources like the Writing Center, like the class deans and the international student dean that are there to help you, along with international mentors that is provided by the international student dean. So you can get mentors or student ambassadors that help you with your academic progress. So in any moment that you feel like you're falling behind, there's a lot of people reaching out to you, trying to help you with your problems. Also, the counseling center does the same thing. If you have any problems, there's a lot of people to help you. So that's what I had in my transition. So it wasn't really hard, but it was something that I struggled with and was able to solve.
Should we move on to the next question? So we got a question from Jad, or sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. what are the possibilities for students who are interested in music and science? Can you do both, and how difficult is that? So I guess I can sort of answer this question since I am myself a double degree student. Quite a maybe about almost half of my double degree friends do science and music. So definitely it's manageable because people have done it. There are about 30 to 40 double degree students per year, and that's quite a significant number because um, in my class, like one of my classrooms, for example, I can always find someone who's double degree and who's running around campus all day, like what sort of I do, and it's totally manageable. You just have to manage your time a little better than some people who have time to dedicate to either science or music. If you're interested in doing the double degree program, it's not a problem at all. People do it. Or if you're in the college, there's a lot of music groups that you can join, even if you're not a conservatory student. And you can always take courses in the conservatory. Um, there are a few bands that I'm a fan of, and they are all college students, Oberlin college students. They they're not doing music for their degree, but they frequently have performances, and we have a few performance space like the Cat in the Cream, like as a jazz stage, or the child chapel, or some halls in the conservatory. You can always use these as your performance space. If you're interested in being a conservatory student, you can also always take courses in the college. The requirement for students to graduate too, that you at least take around one class per semester in the college outside of your conservatory requirement. That's actually part of your graduation. So either you want to do the college, the conservatory, or a double degree, it's always possible to pursue both music and science.
Yeah, I can go next. I don't necessarily play music or sing, but there's lots of students that do at Oberlin. So there's approximately 200 students that are double degree officially, and quite a few of them are doing things such as, I just off the top of my head, I know somebody that is doing biology along with piano performance. And those kinds of double degrees and those kinds of combinations are very, very common. If you're not a double degree student, there's also, like Tanisa said, lots of opportunities that you can get involved in. If you like to sing, there's several a cappella groups on campus. I don't even know how many because there's one more that pops up every year. And it's a really fun community to be part of because they're A, incredibly talented, B, you learn a lot, and C, what better way to meet great people if you love making music like everyone else that you're hanging around with does as well, right? And then the last thing I think that I'd like to say about the intersection between music and science is that if you're not a conservatory student, what you can do is pursue a degree such as musical studies, which is offered in the college, and take that with any natural science class or course that you want to pursue. And I think that's also fairly common. One of my friends who's actually going to Princeton next year just majored in biochemistry and musical performance, and he's going to study biochemistry when he goes on, but the music is still going to be a very active part of his life and his academic as well as vocational career.
I also have a couple of friends who are, sorry, do you want to say something?
No, you can go ahead. I just have something to add on, but after you.
Okay, sure. I also have a couple of friends who are doing double degree. One of them, well, I think probably their experiences are unique, but I think the two degrees actually are they can be very relevant to each other, like maybe more relevant than you think they would be, because I know a friend of mine who is doing Tamara, which is the theater. Can someone remind me like what it
Technology in the electronic and music related arts.
that? Yes,
Electronic
I can
music,
actually
basically.
spell that. Okay, great. Yeah, so Tamara and computer science. So because Tamara is like very technology concentrated and requires a lot of knowledge to do with computers. So those two actually work really well for him. And actually, a lot of people who are in Tamara are double degreeing in computer science. So that seems like a great combination for me, and it works really well for my friends as well. And another friend of mine is doing, well, not necessarily music and science, as Jad, you asked, but he graduated actually 3 years ago, but he did East Asian Studies, which is humanity, and then jazz performance. So for his final, I think the honors project, which is a big kind of senior thesis paper that people are invited to write for their senior year or fifth year if you're a double degree student. So this person wrote a big honors paper on it's called East Meets West, and it actually talks about how did jazz music come to be in China, and how did it get popular, how did it integrate with the local culture. So it's actually a great combination, like with his interest in East Asian studies, especially concentration in China studies, and then also jazz performance. So in a lot of ways, you can kind of combine them together, and like they all work out pretty well. So yes, yeah, Terry Xie, who Maya probably knows, and he actually came back to Oberlin a couple of months ago for a performance. Yeah, so that's just several examples that I can think of right now. So Tanisa?
Yeah, I was gonna say to have two majors that are extremely contrasting, like probably music and science, sometimes you just have to be on top of it and manage your mind. Sometimes after your 3 hour rehearsal, music sticks in your head, like it's gonna stick in your head the rest of the night. But you have to study for science, so sometimes you just have to control your mind really well. That's what I've been experiencing quite a lot. That a lot of times I'm so drawn into music that it seems like I have no space for something else, but I have to do something else because I have another degree to do. And yeah, that's quite a challenge for me. But you have quite a lot of friends who share the same experience actually, and it's always fun to talk to people who are crazy busy like you. Like it's almost a joke. Like, how's your 26 credits going? Other people are doing like 20 credits. We're doing 26, and that's a lot of work, but manageable. And it's always funny to make fun of like ourselves as being so nerdy, but it's worth it, I think. And I mean, there are certain things you have to sacrifice, such as I don't really go party, have fun anymore just because a lot of times I just have so much work to do. I need time for myself on Friday nights and Saturday nights, and that's perfectly normal. You don't, even a lot of conservatory students, they're not really interested in drinking that much, and on Friday nights and Saturday nights, I would go practice in one of the practice rooms, and there are quite a bunch of people who are there practicing as well. So yeah, it's whatever balance you would want to do, and I'm sure you can manage it. I think we can move on. Does anyone have anything to add on about music and science? Okay, let's move on. Yep, sorry.
Sorry. Okay, so I guess as Tanisa said, we can move on. And our fourth question comes from Samantha. Thank you for the question. So, what is living like on campus, and what are the differences between co-ops and program housing and dorms? Well, I'm not sure if I can necessarily speak on what's living like on campus because my co-op is off campus, only like officially or by its location. I might this, but I guess we all are. And I have to say that living in a co-op has been a really great experience. It gives you that kind of community that maybe, especially after they go away from where they have lived their entire life, and since we probably cannot see our family that often or our friends from home that often, co-ops really provide this kind of really closely tied community that you can rely on, people that you see all the time, either when you just go to brush your teeth in the evening or you cook together with them, you have your meals with them. So, and also the mood is probably slightly different here than in the big dorms, because there's just 36 people in our house, and I think other co-ops are around the same number. However, we don't have that many co-ops, unfortunately. Uh, and yeah, I would definitely recommend it to all first years. I'm not going to live in a co-op next year because that need to move on, but I definitely don't regret living in a co-op. And if you feel that you kind of can be independent and that you really want to do stuff for yourself, like cleaning and cooking and all these kind of simple but very important things for everyday life, then you should definitely apply for a co-op position. And yeah, next year I'm going to live in Russia house, so hopefully that will work out well for me. Program houses, we have several language houses. One of them is Russian house, French house, Spanish house. Not sure we have any other language house, but there are so many options, and sometimes it's even hard to choose like which one you actually want to go into because you kind of want to go into all of them. I I personally applied even for French house this year and for the co where I live today, and I got into all three of them, and it was very hard for me to decide which one would be the best the best for me because they are all so great.
Hi,
Anyone wants to
I
start?
can take over. So I lived in Asia House, which is a program house. Yeah, it's a program house. Last year, when I was a sophomore, and it was a great experience to kind of share that space with a lot of people who are, either from Asia or interested in Asian culture, or have some, acquaintance, familiarity with Asia. So that is something that I think I was very much needed when I was a sophomore because I was sort of getting into my concentration in Asian art history, and that kind of created an environment because like I actually used some of the resources that I had in the library at so basically like Asia has second floor has this very small but like really like well decorated library. Then it's a space for everybody to come in, study, do homework, tutor, can do whatever there. It mainly serves for Asia House residents, but also anybody can come in. And they have some bookshelves with really great books of Asian related studies. And actually, when I was doing my research last year, I actually used some of the resources that are available in the library. So that was really convenient. And also, just program houses in general, I think they form a community that people share the same kind of interest in, and you come into this community and you kind of you expect a certain you expect that people living around you can, talk to you and like can share conversations with you, and that's a great feeling. And I think it was something that really made me really comfortable, just like talking to them about things that I don't usually talk about with like other people. Just like I wouldn't, because I wouldn't assume that they like know a lot of things, like especially like if it comes to like China or things that I think that I grew up with. So in that sense, I think Asia House did provide a really good community for me. And it's also connected to a co-op, but it's a dining-only co-op. So it's called Pile, and it's probably the biggest co-op on campus, and they have like 100 people, and they're all like really friendly. So sometimes, because my roommate last year lived in Asia House, but dined in Pile. So well, you can do both because they're like connected together, and it's really convenient to just like go downstairs and like have your meals. So my friend also invited me to eat in Pile several times. So the co-ops are also like very open. Most of them are open to anybody to like come into meals once in a while, especially special meals. They make great food, and like sometimes involves meat, which is pretty rare in other co-ops, or in co-ops in general for like most of the time, because most of the co-ops are vegetarian, and some of them are vegan if it has this like special concentration sort of. So does one want to talk more about beam house, program house, co-ops, other kind of dorms?
Just maybe, yeah, about the cups. It may be slightly hard if you are really used to eating meat once a day or even a couple of times per week, because my co-op, 10 co-op, is supposedly meat friendly, but so far so if that's kind of friendship, I don't know what kind of friendship is that with me. But yeah, if you want to maybe try a different way of life or different way of eating, then it's definitely a good choice, because clubs are very supportive, and you actually create your own policies about everything, about food, about whether you always want to have what do you want to have there available for people. You can also ask people who order food to order some special, not really special, but some specific ingredients that you maybe want to use for cooking, or maybe that you want to eat. So there's a lot of flexibility in clubs.
Uh, and one more thing, if you prefer kosher meat or halal meat, you can join the KHC co-op, which has meat 3 times a week, which is very tasty. And now I'll go to the fifth question. This is from my best friend in high school, Ramsha. Shout out to Ramsha, yay! Cindy boys. What is the Bonner Scholar program? What do you do, and where do you do your projects? So the Bonner program, Ramsha, is a community service scholarship that aims to help students from low-income backgrounds with their college experience. And as Bonner Scholars, in Sakina and Louisa can talk more about this as well. We do community service in the community around Oberlin, and the Bonner program supports us financially for that service, which helps us during our college. We get a $500 stipend at the start of the semester for books and stuff. You get 3 checks of $250, and during the summer as well, we have commitment to 2 summer services, which can be done anywhere in the world. And the Bonner program supports your stipend of going there, and then and you're staying there and doing their work, and afterwards you also get a check of $1,500 for successful completion of the service. So it's a really good program, and if any of the prospective international students did get an invite to apply, they should definitely apply, because it really helps your experience as an international student at Oberlin.
Right.
One thing
Go ahead, Amit.
want to add that I was thinking of being a bonus scholar, but I think the application is quite early, right? So
yes, it's nowadays. It's happening nowadays.
yeah. So if you think about it, but you're not sure, I feel like you should apply. because it's hard to get in later, which is what I try to do. Because once the spots are filled, it's kind of hard to take a spot. So if you're unsure, I feel like you should make a research now and try to apply as soon as you can.
However, this is just a caveat. Before applying, if you have not received an invitation from the Bonner Center, please email them at bcsl@oberlin.edu to check if you're eligible to be part of the program, because it is only for low-income students. So if you do apply and your income bracket is higher than what the program is looking for, they're not going to be able to accept you in the first place. So just make sure that you're eligible to be part of the program before you go through the effort of filling out the application, finding recommendations, all of that. Um, I guess I'll just talk a little bit about my experiences at the Bonner Scholar Program. I do a couple of things. So I co-manage the after-school program I mentioned at the beginning of my introductions, which is called Girls in Voice and Motion. I also teach at the Music Arts and Drama Factory, which is another local youth theater and music camp. And I'm currently also a Congress representative, which means that by the time, if any of you are listening and are going to be part of the Bonner Scholars Program, I will be one of your senior interns, which is basically the leadership structure of students within the Bonner Scholars Program. And it's open to all students to apply in their third year at Oberlin. So basically, I mean, there's students that are doing everything from arts-based activities to sciences. There's some people that go and volunteer at the hospice in Cleveland. There's some people that volunteer at the I'm forgetting if correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but I think it's the Rape Survival Center that is in Elyria, and then there's a lot of service done locally at various schools, after school programs, even with starting up your own stuff. So what Hassan does, for instance, with his web development project base.pk, he can get service hours for it, which is really exciting if you are somebody that thinks entrepreneurially and wants to do something on your own. Start it out. You can probably get paid for it as well.
Yeah, and maybe not only if you want to work as an entrepreneur, or maybe if you want to try different kind of jobs or volunteering positions that may relate to any of your future professional plans. But it also teaches you a lot about how the NGO sector works. So if you want to maybe go in the future into that, and I personally, I'm very grateful that I got into this program because, as I think Sakina already mentioned at the beginning, um, before, if you become a Bonner Scholar, before your regular and international orientation, you actually come for a couple of days of pardon, Bonner orientation, and that's really the time when you become close with your class of other 14 people, and you create friendships that hopefully are gonna survive even beyond Oberlin. I think mine are going to survive that, and yeah, that's one of the greatest things about this program, that you immediately get this sense of community, even though you just may feel really to be kind of torn where you come from. And there are so many great things that this program offers you. There are retreats. We, for example, last semester we went to Cleveland to see a movie, and then we were treated to a dinner. This semester we had a first year Bonner Scholar trip. So we went to Cleveland. We stayed a beautiful bed and breakfast place. We visited several NGOs or spaces that really try to do something for the community. We did so many amazing things during our break that maybe some of us, I know for myself that I probably couldn't afford it if I was going to do that on my own. But yeah, the bonus program is really all the way throughout your 4 years, or maybe 5 years if you're a dual degree student throughout the college. So I guess if anyone wants to say anything, or you can go on with the next question.
Yeah, I think we can go to the next question. The Bonner program is really good, everyone. So the question number 6 is, for students who did not go through an American international high school, what support is there for succeeding at Oberlin? So I can talk a bit about my own experience. Until my final 2 years of high school, I grew up in public school throughout Pakistan, which was a very different experience. And then I got a scholarship to a school, which was not an American international high school, but was school, still a well-reputed school in Pakistan. And then when I came here, you are definitely there's a difference in the way educational systems work throughout the world, and especially a college experience in the US is a very different experience sometimes. For me, I wasn't used to consistent work efforts. What we had was final examinations, and that's what you had to prepare for. At Oberlin, what I found difficult was that there were assignments every day, and you have to work on them every day. You have to manage this, which sort of seems problematic at the start. But after a couple of months, you sort of go into the flow of this, and it just becomes more natural to you. The professors are really understanding, especially if you're an international student. I remember I got off a lot of times because of that. I would go to them and tell them that this is not a system I'm used to, and they were very accommodating. They were very helpful. There's a lot of support from the international students, international dean of international studies, and the dean's office, and just almost everyone on campus and your own fellow international students are a really good support group to help you go through this. There are a lot of academic places like Writing Center which can help you, and it's not that difficult after a couple of months.
So along with the writing center, I can also mention the tutoring program.
Yeah.
For example, that's an employment opportunity for students. So once you do well in a class, you can tutor that class. The college pays students to do that. So, for example, almost most of my classes I use tutors, and these are my peers basically who've taken that class before, helping me with the class. So, which is really, really, really helpful. I mean, if it's papers, they can help you with that, or exams, they can help you with that. So I didn't go to an international school either. So I had a tough time with my papers mostly, and these tutors, along with the writing center, they've helped me a lot to learn how to write better papers.
Well, similar to Hassan, I also almost until my 11th year of high school, I went to public school in Slovakia, and then I was lucky enough to get a scholarship at an international school, which wasn't an American school, but it definitely helped me to make the transition easier. But as already mentioned, your professors can be a really great resource, and there are even professors who are internationals, so or they just came to America the same way you are coming here now, so they understand what you're going through, and they can maybe help you figure out how to make this transition easier. I have a great professor who's also my academic advisor, and I've taken, even though I'm just the first year, I've taken 3 or 4 courses with him. Unfortunately, he's leaving, but he is from Serbia, and so he kind of understands where I'm coming from, and this really helped me to easier. And also, I think people are aware that you're not always going to be perfect in everything. So yeah, just don't stress too much about it. That's what I did, and now I cannot say I regret it, but definitely just as long as you try your best and as long as you know that place for you, you're gonna be fine. And
I,
yeah.
oh, yeah. Should we move on to or I can just speak a little bit about the transition from a non-American international high school to Oberlin. I also went to public high school like all the way, and then I think for me, I would suggest people to just follow your interest. I think a lot of times the struggle that we have are like the things that you can do, like if you have like enough interest in it, like there is like you can always find a way to like get through it. For me, like I think for the art history major, like a lot of their readings and like the writings are just like really difficult, and I had to, I had to spend a lot of time to cope with them. And my interest in art, I think, made that easier because that was like a process that everybody has to go through. And like I think for me it was more difficult, but also because of that, like my determination, I guess, in some ways, and like just pulling it out. So I think it was really helpful for me to just, like I knew that I had to do it, and I knew that I could do it well if, this like language or like writing, reading, like is not a barrier for me. So that kind of like pushed me to actually like, push me out from my boundaries and like actually do, you know, as well as a lot of other people are doing in class. And also relating back to, connecting with professors who are actually international. I also had a professor who is, yeah, I had a couple of professors who are not from America, and I really bound with them. And yeah, they understood where a lot of the frustration I had were coming from, and they also like guided me through the process. So that was something very unique that I also didn't really expect, but it worked out really well. So I guess the final question.
Can I say one last thing, please?
Yeah, yeah.
I there will be stressed about grades, but I know that I was because the American educational system seems to be not, it's not probably that dependent on grades like the system that I grew up in, and I know that it was very hard for me to not always have the best grades, but that's also part of the system or part of the transitioning through the system. So just if you maybe come from a family or a culture that really kind of sees having the best grades as the kind of measure of success, don't get really flustered by it or frustration into you, and you will gradually get there. Even if you're a non-native speaker, I think I struggled the most with that. Just use thesaurus, and you should be fine.
Okay, I have just one more quick thing to add for students who didn't go to an American college. One thing I found really wonderful is talking to people. I think I learned a lot. I get to speak English, and if you don't talk to people, you wouldn't get to speak English. And I mean, all of the conversations I have outside of the classroom actually contribute to my ability to participate in class. All the speaking skills. It's not just you go to class and you get it. It comes through your conversations with people 24/7. So, yeah, do talk to people. And the final question is, what do you wish you had known in your first week of college? Or what advice would you give your first week of college self? For me, I think I wish I knew how to approach people for help. There are a bunch of offices in Oberlin that you can always go to for help. If you don't know about anything, just ask questions. It's really important that you ask questions, because if you don't, then it's probably going to take months and months until you realize you could have got the answer within the first week that you asked the question. So, yeah, do reach out to people and ask questions. Everyone would be willing to answer your questions. Yay!
I can speak next, I guess. One thing that jumped out to me is I think I would tell myself back in the days is it's okay to have some self time, and it's good to have some self time because definitely for me, there was that pressure of like, especially the first week of school. Like, everybody was kind of in this mood of like, oh, we're studying college, this is college, and everything's so exciting. We have to like bound, have to make friends immediately, and everything. It's just like we have to, especially in dorms. Like I lived in Cannes, which is a first year theme dorm, and we the I felt a very a kind of pressure even to just like hang out with people in the lounge and like go to dining halls with like 10 people all together sitting on a really big table, and that was something interesting. Also, I didn't really experience that when I was in high school because I've always had like smaller friends groups, and that kind of like also like the bigger friends group like or dorm groups kind of also like diverged into smaller groups at the end. But then at the very beginning it was a little stressful for me now when I think back. But I would tell myself, it's okay to like spend some time on your own to like work on your paperwork. Like I definitely still struggled a lot with like, just being an international student. There was like a lot of forms that I had to fill in, like for the first week especially, like or class registration and a lot of my academic stuff. So that was something that I think I would need more, and also just keeping in touch with my family, Skyping with them, and I think those kind of alone time, self time was something that I would definitely want to have more if I would relive my first week of class or first week of college again.
Yeah, and I think just going off of that, something I wish I'd known. Well, I guess I knew it. I just wish I'd applied it more, which is don't overshoot, don't be overambitious. I think generally with international students, there's this need to know what's happening, not just in the next semester, but like, what am I doing after graduation? Like, does this major actually lead to an employable career? Which are, I think great things, and sometimes I wish Oberlin had more of in general. But at the same time, if you come in thinking you're going to study math and physics, for instance, those are great fields to study. But then don't hesitate to take a class in, say, the history department, and vice versa. You say you come in wanting to be a classics major, don't hesitate from taking that physics class because it's so different from what you've done. And I think that just generally will make your experience better at Oberlin. I think I'm realizing that now because I didn't take a language class in my first year, and I really wish I had. And so, yeah, if you're coming here, even if you're an international student, I think we relax in the comfort of mostly knowing more than one language, so we don't need to learn yet another one. But take a language class, definitely.
Uh, my first week of college self, what advice would I give it? I would tell my first week of college self that Hassan, you're here for 4 years, uh, so pace yourself. The first week was a very busy period of fun mostly, but I would tell myself to pace myself.
Okay, I can go next. I mean, this is such a question that I could answer 10 million ways. But I guess the most important thing is to know that everyone in Oberlin is so friendly. So I wish I knew that I could ask a question to anyone and they would just be very happy to help. And for example, like there's the International Student Organization, there's like the academic ambassador. So one thing to know is that any question you have, you can get it answered. So don't be shy or don't hesitate to ask them. And on a different level, I wish I took more classes out of my comfort zone. So I started taking my classes based on what major I want to do and what job I want to get. But it's you shouldn't think of it that way. Perhaps take a class that you wouldn't otherwise take in a different place, like a dance class or a language class, because once you start them early, you can definitely think of them as another major, or you can be fluent in a different language, like Sakina said. So I feel like you should try to just explore everything and have a balance as well, and just ask questions to people.
And just as Ahmed and Sakina said, don't be even afraid to take a first year seminar because that's one of the great ways how you can get into American style writing for your classes. And usually, at least the professor that I could for my first year seminar is he's a great person, and I'm taking another class with him next semester, and he really helped me get through my maybe initial shyness in writing for an American class. And yeah, maybe just on to get off of what Ahmed said about people here being very friendly, that's true. But also, if you're not from a place, a family, or a culture that really makes friends that easy, it can sometimes be slightly intimidating. I know it was a little intimidating for me. I don't want to generalize, but to me it seemed at first that Americans need to speak all the time. Like every kind of silence has to be filled in. There is no space for just like being quiet and like enjoying. And yeah, you kind of get maybe used to it, or maybe you can also adapt the environment around yourself. And yeah, definitely what I would want myself to know is that you don't need to please everyone. Because especially as an international student, I had this kind of feeling that I have to fit in because I'm the alien here. And that I really just took into my heart everything that people who were not necessarily maybe older or like upperclassmen told me, but just people who are Americans, right? Because I'm coming into their environment, into their country, but you shouldn't necessarily try to change yourself if it doesn't feel natural. Just let positive things influence you and kind of form you into even greater human being than you are right now. But don't feel the obligation to really just fill in a certain or a specific space that is here the case. And I know this is not related, but if there are any UWC students listening, this is a great place, and I think nobody who's here from UWC definitely consider, not consider, just come here, okay?
And on that wonderful note, thank you so much to all of our panelists. You guys are amazing. We even had more questions than we were even able to answer here. We will pass them on to all of our panelists if they can answer them in the comment section of the blog. We also are going to have one final panel at the end of this month. It is going to be on Thursday, April 23rd from 7 to 8:30 Eastern Time. The focus is generally student life, but we will answer any questions that haven't been answered yet. If you are watching this in the future, I hope this helps you. If you are watching it now, thank you so much for being here. Thank you again to all of our panelists, and we will see you soon.